Welcome to From a Certain Point Askew, the fastest growing Star Wars podcast this side of the Republic. I'm your host, Angry Ginger, one of them. Sitting across from me is neighbor Cole.
Hello. How you doing, Jay?
I'm good. We're going to talk a lot of Star Wars here. We got three things. I'm going to give you a little idea of what the show is going to consist, but first let's bring in the other guy.
Yeah, there is one other. There is a third.
Our princess.
Our Princess Leia. to Han Solo and Chewbacca.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Thank you. I appreciate that. My name's Matt. Good to be here. Appreciate it. I have to get the particulars out of the way really quickly. Find our site from certainpointaskew.com, on Twitter at FACPApod, and you can email the show at FACPApod@gmail.com. That's my obligation every show.
Bam. Nailed it.
Beautifully done.
All right, I'm going to get this
and
out.
Speaking of that, by the way, I was just going to say really quickly, we have had some reviews and ratings and stuff lately, so we really appreciate that. So please go out and do that. We do appreciate the feedback and you guys reaching out to the show and all that.
We're getting reviews on iTunes. Like, people are writing and saying, "Oh, I love the show. You guys know more things about Star Wars than anyone else that knows less than 40% of stuff."
Maybe not that last part,
okay.
But they are saying positive things so far.
Okay.
So we are getting those reviews, and we really appreciate it. So
Hell
please
yes.
keep doing that.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to pull those, and we'll read them in the next show. I like to share that out there so people will be like, you know what? I can write one better than that because I feel strongly about this FACPA.
Yeah, and you can become infamous, as in we'll give you a shout out on the show for your.
There you go.
For your review.
And who doesn't want to be talked about
on the fastest growing Star Wars podcast this side of the galaxy?
Yes.
That's
I
us.
said Republic. Like, my idea was I was going to grow us each week.
No, Republic.
Yeah.
Galaxy. I don't even know the order of operations there.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Start small. The whole Republic. Well, there's only like 55 people now, right? Aren't they all dead?
Most of them.
Yeah.
We're going to start at the Outer Rim and we'll end up in Corsica.
Okay, so what's happened in this episode? This episode, our 8th episode, we're going to do a little bit of chat about the Mandalorian TV spots. There's some news about Disney Plus, like as a whole streaming service, and then the Star Wars shows. We've got some rumors and some confirmations we're going to get to. 40% speculation thrown in at no extra charge. And then we got some chat about some of the Star Wars books coming out that have, some of them are coming out this month and some are coming out within the next few months. We'll discuss those at the tail end. But first, this is our 8th episode. So our 9th episode is going to be live September 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So come join us. We will be, if you go to Podtoberfest.com, you'll see the whole page is right there. There'll be a video play right there for our YouTube live feed. Just click on that and you can watch us do our FACPA hour. We're pretty sure, I think it's confirmed, we're getting the Resistance podcast to join us. So we're going to geek out about a bunch of things podcast. We're still working out what we will be discussing, but 2 podcasts. Oh, you know what? We're going to have a dark side and a light side.
Oh, yeah. And for those of you who don't know what Podtoberfest is, that's our yearly event we do once every year.
I love it when you're so smart.
Would you say it's done annually?
Yeah, you may want to.
Okay.
If you could describe it. I mean, I like to pick people up at 7:45, not 7:45.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's done once a year. We do a 12-hour or sometimes more just live stream of podcasting. We do segments. We go
by all means,
hours.
don't just join in on the 7 o'clock hours.
Yeah,
join
7
us
o'clock
at 9
is
a.m.
when, for those of you who are listening to this show, 7 o'clock is when we do our Star Wars Hour, which we have done yearly.
Yep.
For the last 3 years, right, Matt? I believe you've been on 3 times.
Matt's been on all 5.
I've been on since the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, boo on me.
Yeah.
How dare you disrespect
Sorry. Ooh, it's getting heated in here.
Yeah, so that's our Podtoberfest. Please come check it out. It's a fun event. Every hour is themed. It's something completely different. Some of it is more geared towards some of the shows that I do. Other ones we make up just for the day. We bring in other podcasters and just like have fun discussions. There's going to be giveaways. We're going to actually announce something for the FACPA show going into season 2 for the Mandalorian. During our live broadcast. Lots of fun. We always have games, chat room games that you can jump into every hour. So we'll give something away at the top and or give like the idea what the subject matter is, and then everyone in the chat room kind of plays along and sees who come up with the best things. We'll read those on air. It's a lot of fun. We're gonna have people actually in studio. There'll be probably a bunch of noise. There's always shit that happens that's unexpected. It's a lot of fun. So if you enjoy listening to like indie podcasters, take it serious, but also maybe be a little bit idiotic, join us, Podtoberfest.com.
It's a great way to grow your podcast library and your podcast knowledge and expand what you listen to, who you put in your ears. So check it out.
Saturday, October 24th. That's the date. Remember that.
Boom. All right, let's talk about Mandalorian. We've been hoping and praying for a second trailer to come out, and I still think like we're going to get something maybe a little bit bigger that's going to air maybe this week, because they put the posters out, and usually when they show posters, there's usually, I think last time when they showed the blue hued Mandalorian season 2 poster, it was like a week before the trailer came out, right? Because like theatrically, they usually do a day or two. Poster launches, then there's like the teaser trailer of the trailer to come, and then the trailer comes out the next day. So we could be close. This episode might air and another trailer's out, so we're hoping to discuss that during Podtoberfest. But the TV spots actually, they show a little bit of new footage, but it's more extended to the scene that we've seen previously. Thoughts though?
Yeah, I mean, it's more just to get the hooks into you, to get you excited about the show. Before they showed us what do you call them? The Lexus TIE fighters?
Yeah.
Is that what you call them?
Yeah.
Yes. But before they showed kind of all of them lined up, now you see one taken off and one of them's getting destroyed.
Yep.
You see some cool stuff of him flying and doing, the superhero landing, and you see a little bit more of that scene where he's at the wrestling rink, or
where the Gamorreans are fighting. Yeah.
Right. So you see a little bit more of that. So it's just like you said, it's just an expansion of what you've seen before. There's a few shots you didn't see before, as far as like Beef Cargo swinging around shooting from some,
My guess
ship.
is it's him shooting the TIE fighters that are trying to take off. But it looks like he's in like that old school seat and turret gun or whatever that's like in the Millennium Falcon, and the whole thing spins. So, he's on the ground in one trailer, and the next one he's flying somewhere. So we know we'll see him twice.
And you do see a little more of Cara Dune as well. So it's just more of what we've seen. It's not adding anything huge. There's a couple more shots of him driving through Tatooine desert. So that's kind of it. Like you said, I assume that trailer could come at any time.
Any speculation?
One more full-on trailer.
Any speculation? Anything you want to see, or do you even think there is something that is hidden? Like they've not. I mean, they got away with Baby Yoda until the end of the first episode. No one even expected that, or like the value it was going to bring to the show. Do you think they've got something that big again this year?
Well, I think some of the stuff's already been rumored. I mean, I think the Ahsoka showing up is going to be a big, huge one, and we can, one of the things that came out too recently, it was the schedule of who was writing every episode.
Correct.
And Filoni is writing the 5th episode.
Yep.
Or 5th chapter of this season. So you would kind of assume if we're going to see Ahsoka, maybe she shows up around then, just because of his ties to the Clone Wars and that character.
Right.
That's certainly possible. I don't think she's going to show up right away. I think she'll come later.
Yeah, because if they're going to spend a couple episodes trying to find, because he's been tasked to find Yoda's people, right? To find him. Until then, they are the group of 2 or whatever she fucking calls them, the
Clan of 2.
Yeah, the Clan of 2. But my guess is you're going to see like okay, so for the trailer, here's what I want to see. I want to see.
You had an idea.
Yeah. I think the last shot of the trailer is just going to be like we're zooming in on like this, maybe cloaked figure, and just as you're like, oh, is that Ahsoka? But it's like maybe the back of her, and then it's you're either see that, or you're going to just see a fucking hand holding a lightsaber, and it's going to go to black, and you're going to hear the sound, and then it's going to shut off. Because I don't think they're going to show you anything. They might not show you her at all until the show.
You got the whole production mapped out in your mind, it looks like.
I like to do that shit.
That's how he operates.
Yeah. I've been doing this for 12 years. I've never been right.
I'd like to speculate, there's also like some speculation going on that maybe...
Oh, sorry. We did not have you in the notes for speculation this week.
Oh, okay. I thought I was allowed to go into 40%. Up to and
yeah,
maybe,
there you go. Okay. We'll give it to you.
All right. Where are we at right now? 36, 37%?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to add my 4%.
2 minutes.
Keep it under 2. What's the bounty hunter that the episode where not Boba Boba Fett, the one that gets shot out in Tatooine?
Oh, his favorite person.
Fennec
Shan. Yeah. There's there may be some speculation that she's not passed away,
right?
And that
I don't think she's dead. She ain't dead.
She was playing possum, perhaps, and just. Because if she was, she laid still for a very, very long time.
Maybe
but
she's
who walks up on her?
Right? Yeah. Who is that?
Cobb, in the bounty hunter.
Probably.
And what bounty hunter? What's his name? Boba Fett. Yes.
Boba Fett.
Yeah. I was trying to play the game with you. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I think they're like, we're gonna find out that really, like, they know each other. They've been married for years. He's like, "What are you doing back on my planet, wife?"
You think so?
I don't know, I'm just making
Some
shit
backstory
up.
there.
I'm throwing out story ideas, and I'm
Careful.
waiting for Favelloni to listen to this and be like, you know what, we need that guy.
That's
going to
be
3.
canon.
Yeah.
Give me the redhead from fucking FACPA. I need him. Bring him in.
Well, I think you're going to see certain people. Like, I bet you see Michael Biehn or something. Like, you're going to see some of the people that we've seen announced, but I don't think you're going to see many of them. I don't know if they'll show Katie Sackhoff or not, because Bo-Katan is supposed to be in this, but they might save that as well. One thing I think, when you mentioned the lightsaber thing, I could see a little dark saber lightsaber Lockhorn action at the end. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could see that being the ultimate scene at the end, is just those two like lock and then boom, done.
My other bit of speculation is, I think if they do it right, I think, well, I mean, obviously I don't know what the hell's right. They're doing a better job than I am so far, but I like the idea of, like, because we know Favs writes the first 4 episodes, so like the tail end of his episode, like the cliffhanger of his episode, is the introduction of Ahsoka, because like in the trailer that we see the shot of the cloaked figure. We know that's not her, so there's breadcrumbs, or they're following something, right? They're every episode they're going to get closer and closer to whatever they're looking for, finding something. And if they do like they sort of did in Rebels, where it's like, oh, there's fulcrum, there's whatever, and it turns out to be her, so maybe they'll do a little tease like that again. And then Filoni's got the 5th episode just to make it all about her.
No, I could see that happening, and it's the rumors are kind of all over the place, of course. But you saw that German
Disney
clip
Plus
where they accidentally showed that Rosario Dawson and Timothy Oliphant are going to be
their names are
going to be in it.
Yeah.
So that just kind of confirms the rumors that people had about that.
Here's a tease, because in the book Aftermath, we know that Cobb has Boba Fett's armor, but this is years before, correct?
Wait, so when is that timing of Aftermath?
It's years after Jedi. I'm not quite sure. It takes place it's First Order stuff, right?
What is it you're looking for? What's the name of the book?
It's pre episode 7.
Force Awakens?
Yeah. Yes. So
Aftermath is the name of the book.
So here's a guesstimation. Here's a speculation, if you will. Michael Biehn is actually wearing the armor, and he gets killed, and that's where Cobb gets it. Because there's always like this story that like the armor might pass around. So there's like, they could play with that a little bit, right? Like, oh, we bring him in for one episode. No one's planning that. No one knows who he's playing right now. And you'd sort of buy him as like a badass bounty hunter, right?
Yes. He's meant to be a bounty hunter, and if there's one thing Michael Biehn does, it's die.
Yes.
So he's going to get killed. That's again. Boom. And you're right. I think he's probably only going to be around for an episode 2 tops.
They couldn't get Sean Bean, so they just brought in Michael Biehn.
Right. Exactly. It's one or the other.
Yep.
Just says set soon after the events of the 1983 film Return of the Jedi.
Aftermath.
Set soon after the series of events in the 1983 film Return of the Jedi. The series explores the time period between that film and 2015's The Force Awakens.
Right.
Okay, so between Jedi.
So it's in that
Force
same
Awakens.
zone.
Question: will we see Michael Biehn in a headset, and will he die with it or with it out on?
Answer:
without
I hope
it
so.
On. all of the above.
He won't. He should, but he won't. He's the best headset wearer ever.
Yeah, he does rock that. Right.
I'm surprised they haven't had a movie where like he's actually just a drive-through person at a fast food restaurant.
Or just a painter, just painting. Hello.
He's held up at the drive-through.
He's got.
He just turns into like a
that.
standalone action movie.
Like screaming.
Yeah. With
always intense about everything.
Okay, so that's our chat for The Mandalorian. Oh, you got something else?
No, I was just going to say, I threw that one thing out to you about Raul Coley teasing the Ezra inclusion, and everybody started freaking out about that. He teased it way back.
Yes.
Then he dialed it back. Then he teased it again. Now he's teased it again. He keeps doing it.
Well, I think he had to dial it back originally was because people bought it as like he was making an announcement.
Yes.
And I think he was like, he had to come out and say, look, I've not been approached or anything. I'm just joking around. And then it sort of died down. Yeah, and then he sends his picture out with Ezra on the monitor, and but why was 1 capitalized?
I'm not sure about that part, but he also had a Lucasfilm t-shirt on.
Oh.
So he was really playing it up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on there. I mean, and there's been rumors, and we can get to that here in a minute when we talk about the Cara Dune stuff, but that like there's a potential Rebel sequel. So I don't know if he's somehow involved in that. I have no idea.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, because I mean, there's the Bad Batch announced, but they've been talking about that there's going to be another animated series that kind of carries on with that. But I don't know how they're going to do that. Like, they're going to have to like start, Jesus, they got a lot of fucking things they're going to have to keep control of. They've got this happening in animation, this character, but this character is now coming over to live action. We've got Bo-Katan that's in both. We've got if Ahsoka shows up, then what is the how much of a meltdown will the Star Wars community have if Rosario Dawson shows up in like the first episode and she's just like, you know, the bartender at fucking some Mos Eisley, you know, they're like, just what the like everyone will just and then but that would be the ultimate like tease, right? And then 4 episodes later she shows up but she's in the makeup and shit, so it doesn't look like her, and then everyone's like, oh.
Or it could be she's like
you pulled one over us on us, Favloni.
She could be doing dual roles, like superhero type thing. So
right.
She's like a regular person and during the day, and then by night she busts into a...
She puts the alien head on.
Yeah. Clearly that.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, I don't think they're going to reveal a ton more, but they will give us a couple things just to kind of lead us a little bit closer. Because, I mean, we're just over 2 weeks out from that show launching,
right.
So they got to release one more thing, I would assume.
Well, let's go into this a little bit. So we'll go into the Disney Plus announcement, plus like what you're saying, just a little bit every 2 weeks. And I was thinking about this, like one of the things that Disney's doing is they've announced that they are going like everything into the streaming world now, and we keep seeing these announcements of the TV shows. We know they're doing it with Marvel. They can't put movies out right now, and they're not the first ones to do it. I think HBO was the first one that came out and said, we're going balls deep in HBO Max because it's consumer first. It's direct market. So they're not spending a ton on marketing. It's like everything, like all the cutting costs they can do, and they're making a shit ton of money, and it's direct. They're getting like the profits coming straight to them, right? They make it and put it out. It's theirs. Not sharing it with anybody, which there seems to be a lot of people who are pissed off about that. But that's one of the things they can do. They announce something, and with social media and everything right now, there's your marketing. As long as someone's interested, right. Look at how much they've showed for both seasons of The Mandalorian. It blew Disney. Disney Plus is they crossed their 5-year goal in like 6 months because of that damn show. You know, they barely showed us anything with this one. It's all over Twitter and any other social media. You know, and that's all they have to keep doing. Like they pay no marketing. There's little tease out there and let it retweet like wildfire.
Yeah, so I got a little excerpt from the article that kind of sums up nicely. The move would allow content executives to focus primarily on creating new films and television series, while the global distribution team will determine where it is to be seen, whether in theaters or traditional cable or broadcast channels, or on one of the company's streaming platforms, including Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, or the soon-to-be-launched Star, an international service. That's exactly what we fucking need, is another streaming subscription service. Thank you, Disney Plus.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure why they're going all in on another. What is that streaming service going to do?
International streaming service.
But I'm wondering if like
coast to coast.
Right
like
now they still don't know what
toast.
to do with like Modern Family, Deadpool, Aliens. They own Die Hard now because they bought Fox. So where are they going to put all that stuff?
It's essentially their Netflix. It's not as focused on just the actual Disney films and Marvel films and Star Wars. It's broad.
They should let me take control of it, and it'll be Disney XXX, like X-rated stuff,
like
the hardcore stuff. The stuff you can't see that you don't want to see.
You see. And we've seen Minnie and Mickey get married, but we've never seen the honeymoon.
Right.
Okay.
And I could head that division.
Yeah, poor Pluto.
Get out. It's adult time.
Yeah. All right, we're lost in the weeds here.
Yeah, that's way too far.
That's way too far.
But you're right. It seems like there is a rumor about everybody getting their own series at this point. And so you don't know what's real and what's not. One of the ones that just came out today was just shared today. It was first I saw it on LRM Online, and then you forwarded me that bit from is it Jeremy Conrad.
Yes.
And then also the guys at Kessel Run Transmissions talked about it as well, that Cara Dune is going to get her own show, which is interesting because I was wondering what your guys' thoughts are on it. I was trying to figure out, because I like her character. Mm-hmm. Is she a character that should have her own show, or is she better as kind of a complementary character? I was trying to kind of figure that out based on what I was looking at. So far.
I love the idea of her as a standalone series, because I'm just like, that was one of the main things from season 1 is where did she come from? Why is she hated by both the Republic and by the Empire? Like, where's her backstory? Backstories always draw me. Like, I'm like,
there's a lot to dig into.
There's
there.
like a lot of.
You want the Cara Dune prequel?
Yeah, well, you got so much content you can just go into, like, or it doesn't even necessarily have to be a prequel. It can be her explaining it as she goes through.
Like, I kind of want to see when she was doing with the Republic shock jumper, whatever, and I to me, I think this is one of the things they're going to start doing because they want content all the time. And you know what? Maybe she doesn't need to carry 7 seasons, but they're doing a Kenobi limited run, right? It's going to be 1 season, one thing, one story. They could do the same with her. Yeah. So she gets her own series, and then she can still pop in and out of The Mandalorian, no problem.
I love things that explore more of the universe, right? Like, so you find out more about what. So what does a Rebel shock trooper do, and what was the brigade that she was in, or whatever? What do they call it? I don't know. The squadron or whatever she was in. Like, what did they do? What was their primary goal? Like,
she couldn't make the 500 first, so she was in the 500th.
She was the 500.5.
502nd.
Yeah.
502nd.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to explore. Like you said, the prequel makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of history there to go back and cover. You can start getting into all sorts of familiar characters from that original trilogy era because that's when she would be operating in. Do you see her desperate escape from Alderaan as the planet is destroyed behind her? They also, the Kessel Run transmission guys were talking about how they think that Bo-Katan is going to be in that series. So then it becomes like, oh, well, so is it going to be a prequel or is it going to be later? Because she seems to have familiarity with Mandalorians when she meets Din, but she certainly has questions about it. So it's like if we go back in time to this prequel where she actually knew another Mandalorian, wouldn't she be a little bit more up on kind of their culture?
Well, maybe that's why when she saw him walk in, she knew right away those guys are bounty hunters. And here she is hiding. So that, I guess that would go to that. But yeah, I'm all for them playing around with this stuff and just dropping it on. Like I've always said, like I'm one of the people I'm the audience for Star Wars. Give me all of it.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like I think they just need to do like exploring the characters because I don't know. I wouldn't see, like you said, a 7 series run.
Yeah,
like a one and done. Like they're talking about with Kenobi. That's perfect. Like I love Kenobi could probably do a 7 series run. Like, you know what I mean? They could. What did he do in his isolation on Tatooine when he was out there?
Well, my guess is he wasn't as isolated as long as we think he is.
If he was just a moisture farmer.
He's there for like 3 weeks and he's like, this is fucking boring. Something's going on. I'm gonna go. I'll be back, Luke.
What if he's out there?
Grow up.
What if he's just out there making? He's a vino expert. He's making wine and like stepping on the grapes in the little barrels. That's all he does.
That'd be a very boring series.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about Kenobi for a second. There's a lot of talk about that. And it's supposed to be filming March. They're starting.
2021. Yeah.
And so we were kind of trying to speculate when does that put this season coming out? Because we'll talk about Andor in a second. Is this like all the way? Is this a year out? So are they filming in the spring and it's going to be released in the spring of 2022? Is that what we're guessing?
I think it's going to come. Yeah, because I think Andor's coming out. Probably next summer. Mandalorian.
That's
season,
our guess.
Yeah, you're right. And if they stick to the Mandalorian season schedule, it'll come out October, November of next year again. So they're going to have 2 series drop. So I think Kenobi will drop like March. Between March to May of 2022, I think will be their big one. And then to go back to the Cara Dune thing, though, we know that what's her name? Leslie something. She wrote Sleeping with Other People, and then she was the showrunner on Russian Doll that has coming out with a TV show. Is this the one who has a
female lead series coming out? But is that going to be this?
That's what I'm saying. That might be. Well, it could be.
I'm saying
maybe they're putting all these fucking people, like maybe in episode 5 when Ahsoka shows up, Cara Dune's like, homie,
Leslie Headland.
Yes,
that's her.
Yep. So yeah, we know that she's working on something, and we don't know what it is. So it could be that's what it's forming into. Who knows?
What are your guys' ideas on what the Kenobi series is going to entail? Like, what do you guys think is going to?
Well, there's been rumors that they're casting Luke and Leia small kids, right? So
I'm sending my kids down to Hollywood to get cast for that.
You're sending the consultant.
Sending the consultant.
I think he should carry a briefcase chained to his hand.
I am curious as to what the story they're going to tell because
he should make him carry the dark saber. The giveaway. Comes just strolling in. They're like, well, look at this guy. He's got his own props.
Ready.
I'm ready.
Get that thing out of here. Next.
Walks in with a dark saber and blue milk.
Ewan McGregor's been on a bunch of shows lately. He was on one talking about the whole thing about he thinks it's only going to be 1 season. He's like, but who knows? He throws out that kind of caveat.
Right.
For now, it seems like that's what they're going for. He was on Graham Norton this last week, and they were asking him about his age now compared to where Alec Guinness was in A New Hope, and
we were
are you trying to bridge that gap? Yeah, and so we talked about that as far as what their age difference is. In real life, their age difference is about 13 or 14 years, something like that.
Yeah. 50
but he was
and
thinking
60, what was he, 6? Guinness was 60.
He's 49 and Guinness was 63, I think.
Right. Yep.
Something like that. So then he was talking about, they would be, certainly adding some gray to the beard and all that kind of stuff and making him, be a more wise, older version of Obi-Wan. And so I'm interested to see what they do with that. But also one of the things that I thought was interesting too is he was on, you ever listen to the Empire podcast? He was on there. It's out of the UK, and he was on there. I want to say it was maybe a couple months ago now, but he was talking about how excited he is for this series, how he's just so pumped up, and wasn't really necessarily that pumped up for episodes 2 and 3. I think he was so excited to get the character for episode 1, and then as he started to go through, I think he struggled, and a lot of it I think comes down to the whole green screen,
right?
And
we've talked about that.
The way they filmed, and so I think he's real pumped up about like the technology changes and how different it is to act in that now. So he seems all geeked up to do this. So it wouldn't surprise me if they do a season and leave it open to do more than one.
Oh, yeah, me neither. Yeah. I mean, Disney is not afraid to make more money.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, you really see him progress, though, through films 1, 2, and 3. Like, he goes in as the Padawan under Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon in episode 1, and then he's, more mature, and he's got his own Padawan, and then, like, in the, like, episode 3, like, that's some of the best acting in the, like, when he confronts... Jesus, why am I having a brain for Vader? Anakin, yes, thank you. And they have the scene, and he's like, "You were my brother," and that emotion right there, like that. Yeah, it gave me chills when I watched it in the theater. I thought that was some of the best acting in it. So that's like that saved episode 3 for me.
And the rumor is there's going to be more of that. Like rumor is Hayden Christensen's coming back.
Well, he just progressed so well through that. I mean, he's a great actor. Like he was a little wooden.
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor. Yeah. He was a little wooden, and he did try to do the corny jokes in episode 2. Like the one line.
Right.
Yeah, like just I don't know. I mean, but he came through and pulled it together in the end, and I think he's perfect for like.
I think he was the best thing about the prequel trilogy for sure.
Yeah, I think he carried.
Jar Jar would beg to differ.
Oh, speaking of Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Liam Neeson. Will we see him as Qui-Gon in this series? Because
Please tell me. Hold on.
Recently.
Speaking of Jar Jar, was it triggered that when Jar Jar shoots his tongue out and Liam Neeson grabs it? Was that your go-to?
It was that, but also the fact that he just did like some sort of interview recently and was talking and saying really great things about Star Wars, and I think he even mentioned how much he enjoyed working with oh my God, what's his name? Ahmed Best?
Yes.
Is his name? Yes. How much he enjoyed working with him. And so the way he was talking, it was like, is he buttering up? Is he going to be in the Kenobi series? It would make a lot of sense if he was as some, as like a ghost or whatever. Certainly you would wonder if they're going to do some FaceTime calls with Yoda.
Ooh. Yeah, you can't. I mean, apparently none of these shows can go without a little bit of Yoda. So we'll see.
Hologramming
Not anymore.
You know what? I'm surprised Disney hasn't announced yet The Child, the series.
People have thrown that rumor out. That is one you don't need to do.
No, you don't.
I love him being a part of this Mandalorian season or seasons and show, but I don't think you need to do. He needs to have his own show. I like the one-offs, like you said, like we're talking about with Cara, where it's like we don't know a lot of her history. With the baby, it's like, well, we're basically covering his story now alongside the Mandalorian.
Sure, yeah.
When are we going to get to the point in technology where we have our hockey puck for FaceTime? You put a hockey puck down, and then like we get our little hologram.
I don't think we're far off.
I think we're close to it.
Yeah, I think Apple said next year.
Did they?
Yeah.
Future giveaway on the FACPA podcast. Your own
little
puck.
Yeah.
Diamond Dave, if you're listening, you need to build it for us.
Your own Grief Karga hockey puck.
Do you want to talk about Andor real quick?
Yeah, sure.
There was a little bit of news that they just said that they're going to start filming November 4th, I believe.
Yep.
So that's getting underway, which we were speculating. Then where does that put them as far as a release? It would have to be not at the same time as Mandalorian, you would think. So would it be in the summer? That would make a lot of sense. Otherwise, they're pushing that all the way to the winter or spring of the following year, and I really hope it doesn't take that long for us to get that series.
No, if they're shooting on the volume and they've gotten faster and better at this stuff. What they say, I think Andor's supposed to shoot for 5 months.
Is that what it is?
I think
so.
Well,
shoot, that puts them all the way through March.
Yeah. And
that
then
could be a tight turnaround.
When did they say they got done shooting The Mandalorian? They got done shooting the week that the shutdown happened in March. Then they're putting it out in October. So are they? But how long has it been finished? And they're holding it for their October release date. So could they go a little bit earlier with Andor? Disney needs content. That's the one thing they need. There's no way in hell Andor's coming out after Mandalorian next year.
Well, Mandalorian isn't filming yet, right? For season 3. I mean, he's written a lot of it, or he's writing a lot of it, but I don't think they've gotten into pre-production or anything yet.
Well, they're going to have 2 volumes coming up
next. What?
They're going to have 2 volumes coming up. Well, there's going to be 4 total, but the last one, the one they're building in Australia, right? That one won't be built until late next year. So at some point, they're going to have 4 of these little fuckers, and they're going to have Star Wars shooting every one of them.
Right. Now that's true. I'm very pumped for this series, by the way. Like,
for
it's
Andor?
supposed to be a spy series.
Yeah, me too.
Which is really cool. And the fact that they can explore all these kind of underworld elements of Star Wars is just awesome. I could definitely do with some more K2SO. I was very upset when he died in Rogue One. So I'm excited to have him back.
You can also get to see the kind of the dark side of the rebels, right? Like they had to do some shifty shit,
right?
Kill some of their own,
right.
Do some things in the name of good and justice and all that stuff. So I like that duality right there. Like, they're the good guys, right? Everyone's always known the rebels are the good guys,
but the good guys do bad things too.
Sometimes you got to get your hands dirty. You got to choke out a few Nazis in the dark alleys and just do what you got to do.
Well, and they made it just that one shot that you're referencing really made it like he's not afraid to do those things.
Right, Rogue One, the first scene, like he's like, "How am I supposed to get out of here? I got one arm." He's like, "Well." Blasts him and kills him.
What do you guys think they're going to start bouncing Vader around a little bit in some of these like those earlier ones? Like, obviously in Kenobi they can. Because he's got the most frightening scene in Rogue One. Yeah. So why not use him again?
I gotta go watch that again just for that Vader scene. That was so awesome.
I just want more because of that. Like, I'm like, that's fucking frightening. This just shadow coming at you.
It's funny, like my kids watching them, like they'll watch them with me, and the 1, 2, and 3 are so like beautifully done, regardless of the acting. But then 4, 5, and 6, they're like, these don't really make sense. Like the technology that looks like shit. This TIE fighter flying in. You can see a wire off on the right. Like, it's just like, what is this? And then the kids are like, ugh. Like, it's funny. Like, you try to watch like an old 80s movie, and it's like watching, some of the stuff that's. I mean, it's still, and it looks good for the time. It still looks pretty cool, and I always will still appreciate it.
But they don't have that appreciation, so they just look at it like, "What is this old shit?" It's like when I was a kid and I'd sit down and watch American movie classics at Grandma's house on Sunday. Like, turn this black and white shit off.
Right.
This shit comes in color now, right?
But yeah, you see him in Rogue One. You see Vader, just going ham on all those rebel soldiers or whatever. And then, like, you see him battling Obi-Wan in Episode 4, and it looks like a couple of geriatrics, like, fencing.
We talked about that on the show, or was I just telling you about that separately, where they CGI'd the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fight?
Yeah,
God, it's incredible. You gotta watch that.
Yeah, because of the lightsaber work was just so terrible. You can see the rod at a couple points.
Yes,
the camera angles were.
Well, and he was 63 years old, and apparently Alec didn't get much sports in his life, so
I don't think he had a lot of training for the lightsaber battle. That's for sure.
Yeah. Here, hold this stick and swing it around. Okay. So yeah, no, I'm excited for Andor. I'm excited to see what they're going to do. And what I'm really hopeful for, and they proved they could do it with Mandalorian with the child, is like, what's the next like character that we're not aware of, this new character that's going to start coming out of these shows, and like, maybe those characters will start showing up in other places too.
Yeah, like, and with the Cassian Andor series, that's one you could like
because at some point the lead dies.
Well, the universe is endless with that. Like, you could. Make up a million different missions that the rebels have gone on and done things to try to circumvent or try to sabotage the Empire and over control and doing all sorts of stuff. So it's like, it's cool. There's possibilities are endless with that series.
How long do you think before Disney actually gets a set of balls on them and brings in Bobby Miller Brown or Sebastian Stan as Luke and Leia?
It's funny you mentioned those two, because those are the two you hear all the time. When I heard the Sebastian Stan thing, I was like, what? Because I'm thinking of Bucky, and I'm like, no. And then I go look up. There's a couple things you can look up online where it shows the two of them together, and oh man, he does look like a young Hamill. It's crazy.
Although I think the age difference between the two of them are got to be at least a decade or more. What is she? Yes. She's not even 18, is she?
Oh, I can't remember.
He's 38. Sebastian Stan is 38, and then Bobby Millie Brown.
She's like maybe 17.
Yeah, she might
Millie
be
Bobby
late
Brown.
teens.
Sorry, she is 5'4". 16.
Okay.
38.
Yeah, so
she's only 16 now?
Not really brother and sister.
She was born in 2004, 2 years after I graduated high school. Jesus. God, I'm old.
And look at her success compared to ours.
She's doing okay for herself.
Yeah. She would do a great Leia if they ever find a way to make that happen. Do you want to talk about books?
Yeah.
Let's talk about books. I want to preface this by saying I have said before, I think on this show and to you guys, that whenever I discuss Star Wars, it's always from an angle of the movies and the series and then in some of the animated series, and that's all I really knew.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never really gotten into the books and all that stuff. And now because of this podcast,
Yeah.
all of a sudden I have this hunger to
Right.
go out and consume more and more and more Star Wars stuff. So I've started looking at all these different documentaries I haven't watched before that I need to watch. Started looking at all these different books that I want to get and read and learn more about, because there is something cool about the fact that you're watching a series and somebody shows up and you're like, oh, that's that person that
Right.
I've read about.
Yeah.
Instead of just them coming out of the blue and you don't know who they are. There's something kind of cool about that. And so I've started looking at these books more and more. And I think I might start diving into it a little bit more.
Now, are you going to be like like our third mic on another show that doesn't read but listens? Or are you going to?
To audiobooks, you mean?
Yeah.
No, I like to read. I like to read the actual book. I don't think I do well with audiobooks, even though you think I would, because I listen to so many podcasts and different things. You'd think I'd be able to consume it that way, but there's something about being able to read the text yourself that I enjoy.
And the voice that you hear on the tape and the voice that you hear in the audiobook never sounds like the voice in my head. You know what I mean? I always can picture like that's, or they always pronounce their name like a little differently.
Okay.
And I'm always like, that's not how you say that.
Yes.
I can't listen to this. Like, it bothers me. I've done a little bit of reading in the Star Wars universe. The only one I got into for a little while was the Han Solo trilogy, and I'm looking it up right now. I guess it's non-canon now. It's from the Legends series, sci-fi novels that's set in the Star Wars galaxy. I read the 3 books. It was a trilogy. It's called The Paradise Snare, The Hutt Gambit, and Rebel Dawn. Mm-hmm. And that leads you right up to the point. It actually ends the scene where Han and Chewie are going into the cantina to talk to
cool.
Obi-Wan and Luke about a mission to try to. They say something about like flying a couple of guys. They're trying to avoid any Imperial entanglements, you know. And then he just like strolls into the cantina, and then that's that. It ends. But they were really well done, if I remember correctly. I think I'd like to go back and reread them, but it kind of throws me off that they're not canon now. So
I've heard good things about those books. Well, I mean, and Disney's already proven it. Like if there's good stories or characters out there, they steal from those legends and they'll use them. So.
Well, that's the thing. So I would tend to lean toward focusing on the canon stuff just to keep all that straight. Right. But at the same time, like you said, there's books that are out there that they're going to borrow from. They're going to, if they find a cool character that's in a non-canon book, they might still find a way to pull them into that world.
Mm-hmm.
We should put together a reading list for the show. I think that's a good idea. Like I'll start grabbing some stuff because I like to read a lot. I've been focusing on a fantasy series right now, but I'm bogging down in that. But I'll start grabbing go look online to where to start with reading Star Wars books, right?
Where to start for sure.
Yeah.
And for people who listen to the show, if you have thoughts, let us know, because that's certainly one that I was trying to figure out. Is there a good place to start? Or do you just dive right in?
I usually start on the first page.
No.
That's always a good place.
Yeah. If you're anyone who knows anything about reading, you got to read the first page, you got to read the back cover, and then you got to read a little bit towards the end.
That's it.
To tease your brain. Find out if you're going to like the book.
I hate you right now.
Why?
I hate anybody that reads the last part of the book.
I don't read the whole thing, but you got to find out what's what, where. Now.
Isn't that is that in what is that in? Is that in When Harry Met Sally, where he says he always reads the last page of the book in case he dies while he's reading it and he knows how it ends?
Yeah.
Got to cover your bases. Yeah, cover your bases.
But there's a few books coming out now.
Yes.
One just released yesterday called Star Wars Fascinating Facts. That's Pablo Hidalgo. Speaking of Star Wars encyclopedias.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a bunch of rare factoids and different, kind of behind the scenes stuff that they share and stories about how the movies and the stories came together. There's a couple tidbits that were interesting. One was the fact that, and it was all over Twitter yesterday, was the fact that Lucas's treatment that he wrote for the sequel trilogy that was mostly discarded included Luke dying in Episode 8. So that was along the lines of what Lucas was planning anyway when Rian Johnson killed him off in Episode 8. So everybody's like, "Oh, interesting."
No shit.
They picked the perfect director to just murder everyone off. Like Rian Johnson was perfect for that. Just
JJ won't do it.
JJ's like, "Well, you just take everything I did and just shit on it."
Yeah.
Snoke's gone.
Well, he killed Han, so he did kill somebody.
That's true.
And the other tidbit that was kind of funny that is making a lot of like rounds with memes is that apparently Rey, the character, was supposed to be a 14-year-old girl, and at one point the name Lucas had for her was Winkie.
I think I heard that before.
So it puts this picture in your head of like Finn. You know how he's always screaming for Rey?
Yeah.
Winkie!
Yeah. Finn!
Or Han.
Winkie!
Han. Winkie, get us out of here! Fucking screams to her.
That or
Winkie, I'd like to introduce you to my Wookie.
You know, Winkie, I need Winkie. We need a I need a co-pilot. And you're pretty good with the blaster.
After Han dies, you got a whole series coming out called Winkie and the Wookie.
Set that to Pinky in the Brain. Winkie and the Wookie.
It's like there's two scenes, one where she meets Finn and then also where she meets Poe, where they do that exchange of like, I'm this person. Could you imagine? I'm Finn. I'm Winkie. Like, does a spit take? What did you say?
Yeah, is it Winkie or Winky? And does she?
No,
is that
really,
her?
what's your name?
Yeah, is that her trademark? Whenever she's about to kill somebody, just drops him a little wink.
Yeah. I suppose Winkie does fit in the Star Wars universe, but not as like a lead human.
Right.
Well, the
Winkie and the Wookie. That's good.
The Force seems to go in like twins, right? So Leia and Luke. So maybe her brother's Blinky. Winky, Blinky, Stinky.
Are you sure he's not Wanky?
Dinky.
Wanky and Winky.
Stop playing with your lightsaber, Wanky.
You keep playing
keeps going off.
You keep playing with that. You're gonna go blind like Palpatine at the end.
Oh man.
All right, so if you're looking for any more fascinating facts, you can find those and more in the book.
You've gotten all 40% from us right there.
I did order it.
Did you?
I was like, screw it, let's order it. And so I ordered that one. I'll let you know how that goes. Then I also ordered another one, which is the Star Wars book that you mentioned.
I'm getting that, yeah.
That comes out on the 20th, I think, so next week.
Yes.
So you need to bring us a little factoid from Matt every week from that book if you can.
For sure.
I like that.
And so you mentioned to me, Jay, because it was kind of like the Star Wars book is meant to be more of like a deep dive into. I wrote it down. So exploring the central characters, technology, governments, and events that shape the saga. And so this is also co-written by Pablo Hidalgo. This guy's busy.
It's got 3 authors, and one of them is when I was reading about them, one of them is he does a podcast called Coffee with Kenobi.
Is that the Dan Zier guy?
Yeah, I did like a podcasting 101 with him years ago, and then I see like he went from podcaster to writing an official Star Wars book, and I was like, oh, what an awesome! That's awesome.
Yeah, right. Someday we'll get there.
Yeah,
Matt, you're really pulling us out of the 40% here with these books. You're gonna really you're gonna actually be accurate on some stuff.
Maybe. Well, the thing is, when it comes down to all this stuff, it's a combination of the thirst for the knowledge. Mm-hmm. With not being 100% wrong when we talk about stuff and people are like, what are you guys talking about? So I kind of want to have a little bit more information to go on. I don't claim that we're going to be the authorities on all that knowledge, but it'd be nice to know a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. Like, and I talked about this when we were doing the recaps from season 1. Like, I started looking for like the Easter eggs or anything mentioned, or I'm reading, and I was like, God, man, like there's obviously there's a lot all of us we don't know, but it's so fun to like, oh, what was that? What they're mentioning that? So you get on Wikipedia, look it up a little, learn a little something. Yeah, I feel the same way you do. I'm really enjoying like this podcast and getting to learn because obviously we love Star Wars, so it's fun to take in some new knowledge for sure.
When you were telling me something about this book that you thought it was meant to kind of like fill some plot holes or something, is that what you were saying?
I think the article or the clip or something that I sent to you was about Snoke.
Oh, okay, right,
and it kind of filled in the fact that how Palpatine used him or the cloning thing or whatever the hell. And yeah, I think the whole book kind of goes into that, but it's both like trivia, like knowledge of the films behind the scenes and like characters to fill in stuff for both. It sounds like a really interesting book, and I think it's like small excerpts and things to so it's not like a lot of pictures and essays and shit. So you're not like diving into this book that's like, oh, it's so boring. It sounds like
it's not like regular form text,
right?
Like you said, it's articles, it's pictures, it's little snippets of information and quotes. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yep. So I'll be getting that as well. So cool.
And then the other one was the From a Certain Point of View, the Empire Strikes Back version. Did you read the first one?
I have not. No.
Okay. Because I was looking at that. I've heard people like that book, that there's a lot of, kind of cool stuff in there. I haven't ordered this one yet. I wanted to look at the A New Hope one first, but there's an interesting thing about these books, and that is that it's a collection of short stories about like certain characters.
Correct.
And so it's a little bit different the way they approach it. It's a lot of short stories, but it's also like they're talking about major characters like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and Yoda and stuff like that. But then they cover a lot of, side characters or characters that are kind of in the shadows.
Right.
And so they're telling all these stories about these smaller characters. Like there's in this one, there's stuff about Dengar and IG-88. There's stuff about Tauntauns. There's stuff about the Dagobah Cave. So there's a lot of different things that they're exploring that aren't front and center in the movies that we've seen. And you mentioned our friends at the Resistance podcast. They were talking about this, and it was a really interesting discussion because they were saying, I think it was on maybe 2 episodes ago, they were saying that, is it too much? Do we need to know all of this information about all these little side characters, or is it okay to just gloss over some of those things and focus on certain parts of the story? Is it enough to know that Wilro Hood really just cared about that ice cream maker?
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
Or do we need to know the whole backstory of Wilro Hood? And by the way, I think there's a Wilro Hood section.
I was gonna say, I thought there was a story. I want to know what was in that. Like, he's running like full steam ahead with that thing. There's got to be some. There's a whole plot device. A good MacGuffin.
A couple of the guys, we were listening to them on the way home today.
I think
the Resistance
we must have heard the same
broadcast.
episode.
They were talking. They were kind of poo-pooing on it a little bit with the
I
fact
understood
that
why they were poo-pooing the Obi-Wan stuff.
the Obi-Wan stuff,
Yeah.
right? They were saying like
Right.
he was resentful of the entire process.
Yeah.
Of, like he basically was serving the Skywalker family for years, and like towards the end he was kind of like, but they went into his
served
mind.
you for centuries, and all I got was a lightsaber to the head.
Yeah, like it threw off the canon almost because they made it canon. Like, and then
Yes.
they're like, well,
Because
I
anything
don't
written
agree.
now is considered canon. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they didn't agree.
So maybe
with
it's
the way
better
it
that this. Maybe it's better the deeper dive into smaller characters, but not changing the arc of a main character that you've already witnessed. Maybe that's where it starts to tail off.
I think they did say they hadn't read it. It was just that line of dialogue that they were familiar
Right.
with, and that there could be more to it, or why that phrasing exists. So I don't know. For me, you know what? If you got the time and you want to like delve into some weird little shit in the Star Wars universe, like pick up the book. I when it first came out, I thought, oh, that's kind of an interesting idea. You're getting some writers, some well-known writers, they get to like, jump in the Star Wars universe and just write something weird or silly or whatever. Now the fact that it is canon, kind of surprises me, I guess. But
Yeah.
apparently the book sold well because they've got the next one, so I'm guessing another one will come too. So.
Well, it just makes you think, if they've got 40 of those stories in just one of those books, how many entries did they get? Were they reading through 250 entries or whatever more and going, this is terrible, this is awful, oh, this one's got some interest.
By the 4th or 5th book, then that means that we'll each have our own story in there.
We could.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was interesting. The opposite side of the argument is, like you said, it's starved for content, will consume whatever is given and kind of decide if you like it or not, and who cares.
And it also gives you a little bit of geek cred too, like the history of Tauntauns, or get the history of the Ugnaughts on Cloud City, and I guess there are clans and rival clans out there. Like, I think I'm gonna pick up the first one on this. I'll get it on my Kindle, the Star Wars one, right? A New Hope. Is there a New Hope one too, right?
Yeah, that's the first one. It came out a few years ago.
It's got 4.5 ratings on Amazon right now. I'm looking at it. 4.5 stars. I'm sorry.
I think the new one comes out November 10th.
I want to get the Thrawn books.
Book 1 of 2.
I was thinking about those too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Right. Yeah, well, there was the first set. Was it a trilogy? Not the first one, not the original ones, but Zahn did some new ones a few years ago. I know Vader was in one of them, and now he's got the new Thrawn book out. I think is the beginning of a trilogy, and but that I think
is that the Ascension?
Ascension, yeah. But that, I think he's younger. I think that takes place before the other books he wrote. So what is?
Because all I know about Thrawn is really from Rebels. So I there's a lot for me to learn about him.
Yeah, he's an amazing character. Yeah, that's it. That's it for books for now. But it sounds like we're gonna have a Star Wars book club as part of the episode. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Okay, you've been listening to From a Certain Point Askew. Please look for us next weekend, Saturday, October 24th, when we go live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be live all day long, but our Star Wars, the Factpa Hour, will be 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be the three of us, and the Resistance broadcast podcasters are joining us as well. And then after that, it'll be the first episode of The Mandalorian. We'll start covering that.
Looking forward to that.
So if you've not, let's say you just picked this episode up right now and you're having a good time. You're like, man, I bet you these guys know some stuff about The Mandalorian. You would be right. You can go back, start off with episode 1, and we discover both the making of the episodes on the Disney Plus, and we also go through and recap all of season 1. What do we do? 3 episodes?
Yeah, we
did
did.
that in 3 episodes, and we did the making of in 2 episodes. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the first season of The Mandalorian. If you want to go back and check that out, that'd be great.
And then coming up, we'll do detailed breakdowns of episode by episode when they come out of season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Until next time.
I forgot my line. Never tell us the odds.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
We have spoken.